You know, I used to think world peace was just a phrase people said when they wanted to sound noble. Something vague, idealistic. But lately, I've started to believe it's possible. Not just peace between countries or political parties, but peace between worlds. The turning point wasn't something that happened on Earth. It came from a story told to me by one of my closest friends, Ira Rothbard. He's Pentillion. And before you ask, no, that's not a planet. It's a people. An ancient civilization that spans realities. Ira is 23. He was born here on Earth, to Pentillion parents. He's got the genetic longevity of his kind, but he's not some timeless ancient in disguise. He's 23. That's just who he is. He's older than me, yeah, by about 7 years. But the bond we have doesn't care about age. When Ira speaks, I listen. Because he doesn't talk like he's better than you. He talks like he's been where you are. One night, Ira shared something with me that changed everything. He said, "There's a place beyond all the universes. It's not just far away. It's beyond far. It's called Paradiso." He told me he had been baptized there. Baptized. I was stunned. Ira said, "There's a river there, the river of life, cold as stars and warm as hope." He described how a priest, dressed in glowing robes, placed a hand on his shoulder, whispered words that didn't even exist in our languages, and slowly lowered him into the water. When he rose again, he said it felt like being born with purpose, like the whole universe had whispered, "I know you." I remember going home that night and just sitting in silence, because it hit me. If someone from another species, another galaxy, maybe even another dimension, needed something as human as baptism, maybe we're not so different after all. Maybe what unites us isn't biology or origin. Maybe it's longing. Maybe it's the desire to matter. That's why I'm standing here. Because there's a planet called Lasandria, and 20 billion people there are starving. Not metaphorically, not food insecure. Starving. Their climate collapsed over 100 years ago. Dust storms the size of continents, crops turned to ash, drinking water evaporated into the sky and never came back. And the galaxy moved on, like they weren't even there. But Collins World Relief, an organization started by Jenna Collins's parents, refused to look away. They've been working behind the scenes on the biggest humanitarian plan in history, delivering trillions of tons of food, using Star Car cargo fleets to Lasandria's surface. I begged them to greenlight it. Some people said it wasn't Earth's responsibility. Others said it was too expensive, too complicated, that we should fix our own planet before trying to help another. And I get it, because we have hunger right here on Earth too. We have neighborhoods where kids go to sleep without dinner, and cities where compassion feels like a luxury. But hunger doesn't care where you're from, and compassion isn't meant to be convenient. So I did what I've learned to do in times like this. I asked for help. I went to Madame Pentillion. Yes, that Madame Pentillion, the woman who basically runs the Galaxy Alliance. I told her about Lasandria. I told her about the children who'd never seen a green field, the elders who shared dust-powdered memories of orchards and rain. I told her we had food, but not enough ships. She listened quietly, then leaned back and said, "Derek, there's too much on my plate. 20 billion starving people is not a mission. It's a black hole." I felt my chest tighten, but just then, her golden retriever, Solara, barked. She turned to him, raised an eyebrow. "Solara," she asked, "do you want me to feed over 20 billion starving people?" Solara wagged his tail like he'd just won the lottery. Then he licked her hand. She looked at him, then back at me. Her eyes softened. She sighed and said, "All right, Derek, I'll send the fleet, if you tell me where to find that much food." Then she added something I didn't expect. She said, "But the fleet won't just go to Lasandria. They'll go to Earth, too, to every forgotten place your world has overlooked." And I just stood there. For a second, I couldn't speak, because something about that moment felt divine, like a higher intelligence, filled with love, had moved her heart. And so, Ira stepped in, quietly, of course, and helped me find the food we needed. That's what we're doing. We're working with agritechs and off-world farms. We're coordinating with supply satellites, activating space elevators, converting orbital stations into food banks. It's the biggest thing I've ever been part of. Jenna and Jimmy have also volunteered. And honestly, some days it feels too big. But then, I think about Ira. I think about that river of life. And I remember what he said after telling me about Paradiso. Peace doesn't come from systems. It comes from a decision, one that has to be made over and over again. I've come to believe he's right. Peace isn't a final destination. It's a river, and every act of kindness is one more drop in that river, moving it forward. That's why I still dream, not just about world peace, but galactic peace, because somewhere out there, in a starving country right here on Earth, on a distant world struggling to grow food, or in a quiet heart waiting for hope, someone is asking the same question you're asking right now. Does it even matter? And the answer is, yes, it matters. You matter. Not because you're perfect. Not because you figured it all out. But because you care. And that might just be the rarest superpower in the universe. Thank you.